Hey Stampers, Kim from stampingimperfection.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a card I'd like to share with you. I purchased the creativity kit for the Amazing Arrows set from Altenew, and it came with two different sets. It came with the Point It Out stamp and die set and the Follow Your Arrow stamp and die set. It also came with an inspiration guide that had 3 different ideas for cards that you could make. When you purchased the kit, you got a free workshop, and these are the 2 cards we made and in the workshop. And I decided to remake the first one because I didn't really finish it and I didn't really love what I was doing, so I redid it and I really ended up liking what I made a lot. But I'm glad I took that workshop because I felt very inspired about finding different ways to use this arrow stamp set. The Point It Out set is going to be great for scrapbooks, but I would like to make some masculine cards with the arrow set. So I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending and masking today for this card. So I'm starting out with my frog tape, which is a delicate surface tape. I actually got it at the hardware store, and I'm going to put a piece of this down. This is not quite 1 inch wide, so I'm using my grid to line this up, and I wanted it a little higher than what I had it. And below this piece, I'm going to eventually put my sentiment under that piece, and I'm giving a good press to the edges so I don't get ink underneath. One of the cards that we didn't use as inspiration in the workshop was a card where they definitely did some ink blending and masking, but I'm going to do my own thing here. So I'm putting another piece of the tape down, leaving a white space, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, and I'm leaving about a ½ inch between the 2 pieces. Is that a ½ inch? Actually, it's about 1 inch between each piece of tape, so there's 1 inch of space there. And I'm going to use this Teal Cave ink from Altenew. It's one of my favorites. I got this really great tip from a YouTube commenter, and she said that she cleans her brushes, her blending brushes, by just rubbing them onto a piece of white cardstock, and then when she's all done, she actually has a great background. And I love this tip, so thank you very much for that tip. It was wonderful. I love it when you comment, and I love it when you leave tips, because sometimes you do things in a different way than I do, so I like that a lot. Right now that ink doesn't look very uniform, but when that dries it will be perfectly uniform. It's amazing. So I'm pulling out the 3 thin arrows, thin straight arrows from the Follow Your Arrow set, and I'm going to stamp those in black ink. I'm pulling out my Catherine Puller Midnight Black, and I'm just going to stamp them. And I'm going to make 2 rows, and I'm just going to randomly put these 3 arrows down. And you could do all kinds of things here. You could turn some in one direction and some in the other direction. I just kind of want to offset them a little bit, and I'm not doing any kind of pattern or anything. You could do a pattern if you wanted to. You could try to squeeze 3 rows in there, you know, whatever you want. I also think you could go ahead and emboss these in black if you wanted to. The inspiration guide picture shows them inked, heat embossed in white, and then they clearly blended the ink over that, because once you heat emboss it, it will resist the ink. So I just did it this way. I really wanted a darker ink color. Now I got a little bit of ink when I blended above that top masking tape, so I'm going to take my Tombow sanded eraser, and I'm just gently going to clean that ink line up. And it's just, if you don't have one of these, for $2 you can get one of these Tombow mono sand erasers, and it is worth it because you can get those ink smudges a lot of times without really damaging your paper. So I really like this eraser. It gets used a lot in my stash. So I saw this fun idea on, I think it was on a Facebook, one of those quick little, it might have been Instagram, one of those little videos somebody put up. I have no idea who it was, but I'm using this double-sided sticky tape, and this is 1/8 inch tape, and I'm putting it at the edge of where I blended. So I'm going to use that as because I want to heat emboss my sentiment in black. So I'm going to use that sticky tape instead of like Versamark ink to put my embossing powder on, so I get a really good nice embossed line along the edges there. So one of the other workshops I took at Altenew, they have these virtual workshops, and it's pretty fun to craft with other people, even if it's across, the computer. I took a watercoloring class, and the instructor, Nicole, showed us this way of doing splatters. I had never done this before, and I really like the fact that I get much bigger dots this way. She just used a clear block, put some, watered down some ink on there, or in the class it was watercolor paint, and then using the brush just kind of flicked it off the edge of the brush. So I really liked that. So I always clean my brushes immediately when I do techniques like this. I've had that brush for a very long time, and I really like it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to peel off. First I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I love the follow your arrow sentiment. I think it's just such a cool sentiment. It's, a great sentiment for a young person especially. So I want to stamp this in my Versamark and then add my black embossing powder. And I'm sorry I keep reaching in front of that. All my stuff is right in front of me, and instead of pulling it off ahead of time, of course I'm reaching across during the video. So I used my embossing buddy. Now I'm going to ink up and stamp my sentiment, and then I'll pull off the paper on that double-sided tape and then cover everything in the embossing powder. Now, one of the things I probably should have done was I should have used that embossing buddy on the blue ink part just in case it wasn't dry. So I put my embossing powder down, and then I heat set it with my heat tool, and I love, can you see how shiny that is? I think that's a really fun touch. It's a nice way to give yourself a very clean line there if you don't have a clean line. So I'm just going to put a piece of craft foam on the back of this. My card front is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. My card base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I scored and folded it at 4 1/4. I'm using this Elizabeth Crafts double-sided tape, and this is actually it's a 1/4 of an inch tape, and I quite like this tape. To finish off this card, I'm just going to add some black enamel dots. I considered adding the Teal Cove enamel dots, but I really like the black ones. And the black ones come in the green fields set, just so you know where to find them. Eventually I added more dots to this, but that's really going to complete my card. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Give this video a like, that would really help me out and I would really appreciate it. Share with your friends and click that bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. And stop by my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and I will put links for everything below in case you're interested in purchasing something. Have a great day. Be well, my friends.